Good morning, children. Welcome to our new session. In this session, we are going to discuss about civics in social science. So this is the new area which we are going to discuss from this session onwards. So in civics, we are going to discuss about the first lesson, Indian Constitution. So civics is nothing but a political scenarios or political system which is practiced in India and other different parts of the world. Civics which mainly deals about the political situations, political circumstances, how politicians are ruling the entire nations, how they are behaving and how they are completely dominating and how they react towards the democracy. This and all we are going to see in this lesson. So our first lesson in civics is Indian Constitution, and in future any of our friends or you may also become a political leaders. That's why I have mentioned the future of democracy. So welcome to civics and the future of democracy. X or Y may become a future political leaders of India, and also among yours any one of your friends or you also become a political leaders of India, and Pondicherry also you can become. So that's why I have mentioned the you are all the futures of democracy. So straight away we move to the concept. So first lesson is Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution means how India framed a systematic political system for a nation, that is known as Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution is nothing but for running or functioning of a democratic nation, there should be a system or rule or act that has to be followed or adapted. Then only it leads to a systematic democratic nation. That's why some of our veteran or earlier political leaders of India, they designed and they wanted to make a constitution or specific constitution for India, and they prepared and they made a separate Indian constitution that is known as Indian Constitution. So most of the Indian Constitution features characters or ideas or principles are borrowed from the different nations. For example, USA, Canada, England, Russia, South Africa, and other nations. So Indian Constitution is a completely a borrowed constitution. There is no doubt in it. Indian Constitution is a borrowed constitutions from the different nations. Examples: Canada, USA, Britain, England, Russia, and South Africa. Among all these nations, Indian Constitution has borrowed some of the very important principles for the better running of the democracy. So there is a question is why there is a need for constitution? Because in a world or in a universe, there must be a constitution which is needed for functioning of a democratic nation or any form of republic or democratic or any form of government, which definitely needs a pre-designed or well-designed constitutional characteristics. Then only it will be easy to follow some basic principles and functioning and running of the government. That's why very important or it's essential for a need of constitution in a nation. So just before I said about why the constitution is needed, so I gave simple explanation why it is needed means, so to running of a pakka government or following of pakka democratic government, there must be a necessary or required or need of a constitution. That's why constitution is needed. The next concept is making of Indian Constitution. How Indian Constitution has been made or designed by the different and important political leaders, those who survived during the 1946 and 1945 and the earlier days of India before struggling for the independence. So now we are going to see about the who are all involved in the designing or framing of the Indian Constitution. That's what we are going to see in this slide. Making of Indian Constitution. The Constitution of India was framed by a Constituent Assembly set up under the Cabinet Mission Plan 1946. So the Indian Constitution was framed by a Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly means there are leaders, they were represented and elected by the very powerful persons during the 1946. So through the Cabinet Mission Plan, Constituent Assembly was framed or set up. With the Constituent Assembly, so you can see, so this is the 1946 Constituent Assembly. So they are all elected and members of different provinces and different constituencies during the 1946 elections before the happening of Pakka election. So this was the Constituent Assembly which created or designed the Constitution for India. The assembly consisted of 389 members representing provinces 292, states 93. The chief commissioners, provinces 3 and Balochistan 1. So what I said earlier, so they are constituent. Constituent means they are from different areas of provinces is nothing but Maganam Sulonga provinces. So there are different elected representatives from the provinces. மாநிலந்து 292 லீடர்களை எலெக்ட் பண்ணி ரெப்ரசன்ட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க இந்த கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் டிசைன் பண்றதுக்கு. So not only that, from big states consisting of 93 states, 93 representatives were sent to the Constituent Assembly for framing the Constitution of India. Along with that, there is a chief commissioners of provinces. So the chief commissioners, they are the supreme leaders of the provinces. They are 3 persons. They are controlling the provinces, and Balochistan, it's one of the important location or area which is being headed by a supreme power of British ruling person. So the assembly held its first meeting on December 9, 1946. So the first Constituent Assembly that held in 1946, December 9th. So the important leaders, those who represented or will come one by one. We will see who are all represented in that meeting. Dr. Sachidananda Sinha, the oldest member of the temporarily elected president of the assembly. So if ஒரு கான்ஸ்டியூண்ட் அசம்பிளி ஒன்று ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணிருக்காங்கன்னா அதுக்கு வந்து ஒரு பிரசிடென்ட், ஒரு வைஸ் பிரசிடென்ட், டிஃப்ரெண்ட் மினிஸ்டர்ஸ்லாம் இருப்பாங்க. அந்த மாதிரி பார்க்கும்போது சச்சிதானந்த சின்ஹான்றவர் தான் oldest member. He is been elected as a temporary president of the assembly. President of the assembly means the temporary Constituent Assembly president. So Sachidananda Sinha is the temporary president of the Constituent Assembly. While the work was in progress, Dr. Sachidananda Sinha died. So while the process of framing Indian Constitution was going, in between that, the temporary president Sachidananda Sinha passed away or died. So after him, the next Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as a president of the assembly. Similarly, both High Court, S.C. Mukherjee and V.T. Krishnamachari were elected as the vice president of the family. So each and every constituent assembly or assembly will have a president and vice president. So Sachidananda Sinha was passed away and he died. So he was succeeded by Dr. Rajendra Prasad as the elected president of the assembly. Similarly, there will be two vice presidents. First one is H.C. Mukherjee and V.T. Krishnamachari are the two elected vice president of the assembly. The assembly met for 11 sessions along with 166 days of meetings. During the discussion, 2,473 amendments were presented. Some of them were accepted. So the temporary constituent assembly has been held. They had a meeting for 11 sessions, around 166 days. 11 நாள் அந்த மீட்டிங் நடந்திருக்கு. அதுல 11 மீட்டிங் நடந்திருக்கு. அந்த 11 மீட்டிங் பத்தி எத்தனை நாள் நடந்ததுன்னா 166 நாள் அந்த மீட்டிங் நடந்திருக்கு. அந்த மீட்டிங்ல 2473 அமெண்ட்மெண்ட்ஸ்னா important act, rules and regulations which are more important for governing and functioning of the government. அமெண்ட்மெண்ட்ஸ்னா என்னன்னா ஒரு ஆக்ட் மாத்துறதோ இல்ல புதுசா ஏதோ சட்டத்தை உருவாக்குறதோ அதுக்கு பேர் தான் அமெண்ட்மெண்ட்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. இந்த கான்ஸ்டியூண்ட் அசம்பிளில எல்லாரும் ஒத்துக்கிட்டாங்கன்னா அது வந்து ஆக்டா பாஸ் ஆகும். சப்போஸ் யாருமே அக்செப்ட் பண்ணல அப்படின்னா அது அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் ஆகாது. அது ஆக்டாவோ ரூல்ஸ் அண்ட் ரெகுலேஷனாவோ அதை கொண்டு வர மாட்டாங்க. அது சட்டமா ஏற்றப்படாது. தட் இஸ் நோன் அஸ் அமெண்ட்மெண்ட்ஸ். ஸோ இந்த டெம்பரரி கான்ஸ்டியூண்ட் அசம்பிளி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 11 மீட்டிங் நடந்திருக்கு. 166 நாள் அந்த மீட்டிங் நடந்திருக்கு. அதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா 2473 ரூல்ஸ் அண்ட் ரெகுலேஷன்ஸ் ஆக்ட் அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் என்ற பேர்ல சட்டம் இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. அது எல்லாமே பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஃபுல்லாவே அக்செப்ட் பண்ணல. சம் ஆஃப் தம் வேர் அக்செப்டட். So among the 2,473 amendments were introduced, in that not all of them were accepted. Only very few were accepted. The assembly worked through various committees and the draft of the constitution was prepared by the drafting committee. So the temporary constituent assembly was working in a very sincerely with different various committees for framing different rules and acts. So committees is nothing but they will have a different group of peoples with different heads of a committee. For example, financial committee, law making committee, advisory committee, parliamentary committee, that is known as various committees. So the drafting committee is nothing but they are the very important committee which involved in designing and making and framing of the Indian Constitution. So the drafting committee was headed by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So drafting committee is nothing but it's a very important committee which was chaired or headed by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he with the others they designed a constitution for India. That's why he is recognized as the father of the Constitution of India. So due to the chairmanship of a drafting committee, Dr. Ambedkar and his advices to the framing of the Constitution, he has been recognized or he has been declared or considered as the father of Indian Constitution. This is a very important question for your future and the present 10th standard who is recognized as the father of Indian Constitution dash. That is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I think so. This many of them this thing you will be knowing this. So still, but I am giving a clarity about this father of who is father of Indian Constitution. Father of Indian Constitution is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he is one of the very important and very famous leaders among the Indian society and Indian peoples. So after the draft had been discussed by the people, the press, provincial assemblies and others, the constitution was finally adopted on November 26, 1949, contained a preamble, 22 parts, 395 articles and schedules. So finally, the drafting committee designed and handed over the Constitution of India to the temporary Constituent Assembly. So here, the drafting committee has designed the Constitution of India and they are introducing it in the temporary Constituent Assembly. So this is the temporary Constituent Assembly meeting. Here the drafting committee introduces the what act and policies, rules and regulations we are going to follow for the future and till the end of democracy are the where the government runs throughout the future of India and other parts of the state. So they introduces the drafting of Indian Constitution in the temporary Constituent Assembly. Here they are introducing and everyone were almost they were accepted. So finally on November 26, remember this date, November 26, 1949, Constitution of India has been introduced in the temporary Constituent Assembly in 1949, November 26, consisting of 22 parts. The Constitution of India is having 22 parts with 395 articles. So the articles is nothing but from 1 to 395, each and every serial number from 1 to 395 will have different rules for different purpose and different reason, that is known as articles, and 8 schedules. 8 schedules is nothing but a Constitution of India has 22 parts and 395 articles and 8 schedules. So Indian Constitution has been divided into 8 schedules. So remember this, this may come in 1 marks also. 22 parts, 395 articles and 8 schedules. The drafted constitution came into force on 26 January 1950. This day is known as the Republic Day. It is being observed every year as a Republic Day. So in 1949, November 26, drafting committee introduces the Constitution of India in the temporary Constituent Assembly. So finally, the Indian Constitution has been came into force, or when they started following means January 26, 1950. So due to this reason, every year January 26th has been celebrated as a Republic Day of India, and this has been followed every year. So with this the making of Indian Constitution ends. Now we will move to the next concept. So this is for further understanding of how the Indian Constitution has been framed and how it has been designed. So in your mobile, if you see this, it will look little bit blurred and not looks clearly. So try to manage this. So under the Rajendra Prasad that I explained how many days that they took for framing the Indian Constitution. This under all I have given in this image. So have a look into this. So this many year and this many month and this many days it took for framing the Indian Constitution, and more than 2000 amendments were introduced, and some of them were rejected and some of them were accepted. So finally, January 26th of 1950, legally under Pakka lawfully, the Indian Constitution has been accepted or came into force on January 26, 1950. That's why on this day, January 26, every year we are celebrating Republic Day in India. So in your textbook, you can see in page number 240. Now we are going to discuss about the salient features of Indian Constitution. Features means how Indian Constitution is being designed, whether it is a very strict and rigid, and how it has to be followed, and that and all, for whom this is being designed, who can have rights, maximum rights, this and all, the special character and features of Indian Constitution that we will see in this slide. So remember this may be coming a 1 mark. The person who on his own handwriting who wrote the Indian Constitution is Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada, was the calligrapher of the Indian Constitution. The original Constitution was handwritten by him in a flowing italic style. So என்ன சொல்ல வரானா, நம்ம இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் வந்து Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada in the person தான். So he is the person who wrote the on his own handwriting with the italic style. Indian Constitution has been wrote with the flowing italic letters style. Now we are going to discuss about the salient features of Indian Constitution. Features is nothing but the characteristics or speciality or uniqueness of Indian Constitution. So Indian Constitution features characteristics என்னன்னா, அதுக்குன்னு தனியா ஒரு சில ஸ்பெஷலான கேரக்டர் ஏதாவது யூனிக்கா டிஃபரெண்டா ஏதாவது அதை வச்சு தான் டிசைன் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க. இப்போ if you think of any person or any teacher or any student, any of your friends or relatives, they will have different characteristics and different features. For example, our school will have a blue and blue shirts. Other schools will have a different color uniform. That is the feature or different characteristics of a particular thing. Like that, our Indian Constitution has a different features, different characteristics, and unique principles and unique philosophies and unique ideologies. That's what we are going to see in this slide. So I think so this is the answer for Roman letter 5, question number 1. So our Indian Constitution's uniqueness we are going to see in this slide. So India's Indian Constitution is the lengthiest of all the written constitution of the world. So among all the constitutions of the world nations, India's constitutions it is the lengthiest written constitution. So மற்ற நாடுகளுடைய அரசியல் அமைப்பு, அரசியல் கோட்பாடுகள், அவங்களுடைய சட்டத்திட்டங்கள் எழுதப்பட்டது நம்மளுடைய ஒப்பிட்டு பார்க்கும்போது இந்தியாவுடைய கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் தான் ரொம்ப லெங்க்தியான கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன், லெங்க்தியஸ்ட் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் அப்படி சொல்றாங்க, நீளமான கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. So as I said earlier, Indian Constitution has been borrowed most of its provisions from the constitution of various countries. So Indian Constitution has been borrowed from the many other nations. Indian Constitution or provisions of Indian Constitutions are borrowed from the many various countries of the world. So it is partly rigid and partly flexible. So rigid means it's a very strict. This should not be, common people cannot be easily, they can't clash or they can't simply they not able to restrict these principles and ideas of Indian Constitution. என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா இப்போ நம்மளுடைய இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டியூஷன் சட்டம்ன்றது வந்து ஒரு சில வழியில ரொம்ப ஃபிளெக்சிபிளா இருக்கும், நம்மளுக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி வளைஞ்சு கொடுக்கும். அதே மாதிரி ஒரு சில இடங்கள்ல அது வந்து ரொம்ப ஸ்ட்ரிக்டா இருக்கும். இதுதான் நீங்க ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும்னா ஃபாலோ பண்ணி தான் ஆகணும். As a citizen of India, there is no other option. You have to strictly and follow and adapt the Indian Constitution. That is known as rigid. Flexible-னா ஒரு சில இடங்கள் நம்மளுக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரியே நம்ம இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டியூஷன் வந்து நம்மளுக்கு வளைஞ்சு கொடுக்கும். நம்ம வேணும்னா சில லா அண்ட் ஆர்டர்ஸோ இல்லை வேற யாரோ லாயர்ஸ் வச்சு கூட நம்ம மூவ் பண்ணி நம்ம கேட்டு தெரிஞ்சாலே நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம் எப்படி இருக்கு நம்ம இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டியூஷன் அப்படின்னு. So next salient feature of Indian Constitution is it establishes a federal system of government. Federal system of government is nothing but so Indian government will have a state and central government. The கூட்டாட்சி மக்களாட்சி கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? That is known as federal form of government or federal system of government. Next salient feature of Indian Constitution is it establishes the parliamentary system not only at the center but also in the states. So Indian Constitution establishes or introduces the parliamentary form of government in the central government and also in the state government also. So the state government la ipo assembly சொல்றாங்கல்ல, அதுதான் வந்து state assembly. Central level la பாத்தீங்கன்னா parliament form of government, parliamentary system of government சொல்றாங்க. So next point is it makes India as a secular state. So it makes India as a secular state is nothing but not following any specific religion. That is known as India makes as a secular state. So என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா இந்தியால ஒரு மதத்தை தான் ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும் அப்படின்ற எந்த ஒரு சட்டமோ எந்த ஒரு லாவோ கிடையாது. யார் வேணா எந்த மதம் பிடிச்சிருக்கோ அந்த மதத்தை அவங்க ஃபாலோ பண்ணலாம். அதுவும் வந்து இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டியூஷன்ல ஒரு வித்தியாசப்பட்ட ஒரு ஃபியூச்சர், ஒரு கேரக்டர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. So next salient feature is it provides an independent judiciary. So it provides an independent judiciary is nothing but the court, law department, இது எல்லாமே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டியூஷன் தவிர்த்து அது தனியா ஒரு சுதந்திரமா அது தனியா செயல்படும். தட் இஸ் நோன் அஸ் இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஜுடிஷியரி. மற்ற ஆஃபீஸ் மற்ற கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃபீஸு, பப்ளிக் ஆஃபீஸு அது எல்லாமே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கவர்மெண்ட் கீழே கண்டிப்பா ரன் பண்ணி தான் ஆகணும். கவர்மெண்ட் என்ன சொல்றாங்க அதை ஃபாலோ பண்ணி தான் ஆகணும். பட் இந்த ஜுடிஷியல் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட், லா டிபார்ட்மெண்ட், கோர்ட் இது எல்லாமே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அவங்க வந்து சுதந்திரமா இண்டிபெண்டா தனியா அவங்களுடைய ப்ராசஸ், அவங்களுடைய work எல்லாமே தனியா செப்பரேட்டா they will follow independently. That is known as independent judiciary. So next salient feature is Indian Constitution. It introduces universal adult franchise and accords the right to vote to all the citizens above 18 years of age without any discrimination. So Indian Constitution என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா any individual, whether it's a women or a men, boy or a girl who reaches or who crosses the 18 years of age is eligible to vote in the election without having any discrimination on the basis of religion, caste, color, whatever it is. So யாராவது ஒருத்தர் 18 years of age attain பண்ணிட்டாலே அவங்க இந்தியன் எலெக்ஷன் ப்ராசஸ்ல எலெக்ஷன் சிஸ்டத்துல ஓட்டு போடலாம் அப்படின்றாங்க. That is universal adult franchise. So next is it provides single citizenship. Indian Constitution என்ன சொல்றதுன்னா இந்தியாவுக்கு ஒரு குடிமகனுக்கும் ஒரு சிட்டிசன்ஷிப் தான் இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டியூஷன்ல ஸ்ட்ரிக்டா சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. The next point is it provides special provisions for minorities, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other extra religions and communities. So Indian Constitution specially they given a special provisions, special allotments, special concessions to the communities of minorities, scheduled caste peoples, scheduled tribes. So இந்த மாதிரி ரொம்ப economically weaker இருக்க section, financially weaker இருக்க sectionsக்கு நம்மளோட இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நிறைய சலுகைகளோ நிறைய வசதிகளோ நிறைய பண்ணியிருக்காங்க அப்படின்றத அது ஒரு இந்தியன் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷனோட ஒரு ஸ்பெஷல் கேரக்டர், ஸ்பெஷல் ஃபீச்சர் அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. So with this we will end the session and we will see the remaining things in the next session. So this is the lesson in civics, first lesson in civics, Indian Constitution. So listen the video, watch the video. After watching or listening the videos, read the lessons from where I started and where I ended, and try to mark the 1 mark questions in the book bags. But do by yourself. Try to mark the 1 marks in the book bags by reading the questions and go to the concept and try to find the answers for the 1 marks given in the exercises. See you in the next session. Thank you.